The desert night was silent, but the stillness felt wrong. Rango's feet sank into shifting sand as whispers slithered around him, crawling into his ears, stretching his name into something inhuman. The sound didn't come from one voice, but many. He followed, trembling, until his lantern light revealed something buried. A broken wooden trapdoor, half swallowed by the desert, glowing faintly from beneath as though something alive waited in the dark. The whispers grew louder, almost begging him to open it. Rango's hands shook as he reached down, dust falling through his trembling fingers. The desert sky seemed to vanish above him, the world shrinking to silence until only the trapdoor remained. His heart pounded with each breath as the wood creaked open, spilling the stench of rot, and something far worse, into the night. The trapdoor gaped like a wound, exhaling air so foul it burned Rango's lungs. He stared at the stairs that spiraled downward, carved from stone but slick with something organic. Each step groaned under his weight, his lantern casting twitching shadows across walls that pulsed and breathed. Veins crawled across the surface like living roots, twitching to the rhythm of something buried deep below. The further he went, the more the air closed in, heavy and wet, like he was descending into a creature's throat. Every breath made his chest tighten. Behind him, the trapdoor slammed shut on its own, plunging him deeper into isolation. The sound of whispers returned, echoing off the stone, but now he realized they weren't calling from ahead. They were whispering from inside the walls, following him with every step he took. The staircase ended in a cavern lit by crooked candles. At first, Rango thought the room was empty, until the shadows began to move. Figures stepped forward, cloaked in stitched skin, the edges wet and glistening, their faces hidden beneath crude hoods. In their claw-like hands, they clutched candles that burned with black fire. Their voices rose in unison, chanting words too ancient for Rango to understand. Yet his bones rattled with each syllable. Then, as if pulled by a single string, every head snapped toward him. Dozens of hollow eyes glowed from the hoods, piercing him where he stood. His lantern flickered. Their chant shifted, growing louder, breaking the silence with sickening rhythm. Rango's throat went dry as their words became clear. Igor will rise. In the center of the chamber stood an altar, built from ribs and skulls, its surface wet with fresh blood. Upon it lay a painting, torn and rotting, yet glowing with a sickly red aura. Rango's bulging eyes locked onto the figure within the canvas. It was a child, but not a child. Its face was stretched, skin pulled to tight across bone, empty sockets weeping blood. And then, the painted mouth moved. It twisted into a smile too wide to be human, teeth tearing through the paint itself. The chanting swelled, echoing until the walls cracked. Dust falling from the ceiling, the painting pulsed like a living thing, and Rango realized it was no picture. It was a doorway, and something inside was trying to crawl through. The painting tore open with a sound like flesh ripping. From within, Igor spilled into the room. His body was small and childlike, but broken in ways no body should be. His limbs were too long, joints bending backwards, his pale flesh sagging like wax. The face was worse, a melted mask of meat with holes where eyes should be, dripping black ooze. As he crawled forward like a spider, his bones cracked and his head twitched at impossible angles. And then it spoke, not with one voice, but with 1,000, whispering Rango's name as though the world itself was chanting against him. The cult fell to their knees, trembling with worship, but Igor's gaze locked only on Rango, and he smiled. Rango bolted, his lantern swinging wildly as the maze around him twisted alive. The walls convulsed, shaping into endless corridors of flesh and veins, mouths opening to scream soundlessly as he ran. Behind him, Igor scuttled on all fours, his laughter piercing, echoing like a child mocking death. The cult followed, their chants never breaking, crawling along the walls, clawing from the ceilings. Every door Rango threw open only led to another hallway of meat and darkness, the passages rearranging themselves to trap him deeper. His chest burned, his throat raw, his steps slowing, but the sound behind him only grew closer, the scrape of bone against stone, the giggling chorus chanting his name over and over, until it felt carved into his skull. At last, the corridor opened into a vast cathedral of bone. The chamber was dominated by a pit that yawned like the mouth of hell, its surface a swirling mass of black liquid. Where distorted faces screamed beneath the waves, Igor stood at the edge, arms stretched wide, as if welcoming him. The cult circled closer, their knives raised, their voices rising higher, each word shaking the ground beneath his feet. The black pit hissed, the liquid bubbling, pulling the air into its hunger. Rango stumbled back, but the circle of robed figures closed in, driving him forward with every step. The chamber itself seemed to pulse with their chant, "One must fall, one must fall," until it became the only sound left in the world. Rango's desperate fight was hopeless. The cult's hands gripped him tight, dragging him to the edge of the abyss. His lantern slipped from his hand, vanishing into the black. Its light snuffed out without a sound. He screamed, thrashing, but the whispers drowned him out. With one final surge, they shoved him forward. His body plunged into the pit, the black liquid swallowing him whole. Faces in the abyss clawed at him, mouths stretching wide, pulling him deeper into silence. As the darkness consumed him, the last thing he saw was Igor's face leaning over the edge, smiling with hollow eyes. The cult's voices fell quiet. The desert above lay still again, as though none of it had ever happened.